Hello, everybody. I'm here to enjoy spring with you, and I want to first thank Ethan Galvin and the Hoboken Library for giving me the opportunity to enjoy this day and to kick off National Poetry Month. I want to start with a poem, not by me, but by E. Cummings, who spelled his name lowercase, of course, as we all know. And he has a poem that goes right to the heart of why we're here. And I thought I'd start with that. And then I'll get to my stuff because I do have a writer's ego. It's called, "Oh Sweet Spontaneous Earth." Oh sweet spontaneous earth, how often have the doting fingers of prurient philosophers pinched and poked thee? Has the naughty thumb of science prodded thy beauty? How often have religions taken thee upon their scraggy knees, squeezing and buffeting thee that thou mightest conceive gods? But, true to the incomparable couch of death, thy rhythmic lover, thou answerest them only with spring. And spring also means baseball to many of us. Season just started, not quite like it used to. And to me, it's baseball and fathers, and I realize I have a whole bunch of poems about that. So I might read a couple of them right now. This is called "When My Father Couldn't Catch the Ball." It sort of dates me, I just realized, because it mentions the Brooklyn Dodgers. Those of us who remember the Brooklyn Dodgers, I still haven't recovered from the trauma of when they left for California just a few years ago. I think it was 1957. Maybe I'll get over it someday. When my father couldn't catch the ball. My father was still perfect then, as perfect as that April Sunday at Ebbets Field, on sacred ground, the Dodgers spread out on the grass. I still had heroes then to teach me how to live my life. I still had youth to think my life would go as planned, and the Dodgers had not yet abandoned us for the exotic wilds of California. And the day got more perfect when, with a slightly off-pitch thwack, the ball came sailing toward us, spiraling high in a dizzying arc to where we sat, as if it were fate, as if foreordained. And my father, never a man of impetuosity, stood thoughtlessly, fearlessly, and reached far out over the rail with his bare hands, seeking the magic of that summer day. The ball slapped in and bounced away. He clutched and grasped it, but could not hold it. That was how it was with him. Anything given could slip away. I'd never seen him yearn before to get his hands on something and struggle hard to give everything to hold it. The world I dreamed was lost when that baseball came toward us in the sun, into the arms of a man I still believed could catch it, could catch the sun itself if only he wanted to. Another poem on a similar theme. It's also about memory. Glimpse of a father hiding. He was in the kitchen hiding, listening on the transistor radio, the score of a baseball game. Had to be the Dodgers, when it should have been in the living room with the rest of us, watching Ed Sullivan. I went in for some reason. I was a little kid and saw him hunched over the tiny transistor radio by the stove, with such eagerness to hear, to learn the score, that he broke the rules he enforced with such vigor that it terrified his son, the son who caught him in the act as if he were the little kid, and the boy who caught him was old enough to see the shocking sight of his father, caught off guard at a loss, not in total control. Now, standing in the kitchen, washing dishes, one of the many things I do that my father never did, I hear my children laugh, as my father must have done those many years ago from something on TV. That burst of cheer from a distant room, cut loose from the joke that caused it. A canned chorus of ecstasy that sings its joy in the stillness of the house, then dies away forever. We are all so distant from what we love, and it moves us farther from ourselves. There is so little that we can hold, so little we have that stays for long. In the end, it's just laughter from rooms we no longer live in, from jokes never heard. Time, that heartless thief, steals it all away and leaves us only memory as a sad but sweet consolation prize, too painful to keep, too precious to let go. And then I thought, why stick just with my father? Why not move a generation up to his father? Maybe later I'll go down to his children. But this poem about my maternal grandfather. I come from sort of two streams of immigration in America, of certainly of Jewish immigration. On my mother's side, my grandfather was deeply religious, a man who felt the presence of God every day. On the other side, there were socialists, rabble-rousers. I only learned recently that my paternal grandmother came here under false papers, was essentially undocumented immigrant, and my mother to this day was embarrassed about it. If I mention that, she's afraid they're going to get caught, even though no one's alive anymore back then. But this poem is inspired by a picture of my grandfather, the religious one. Lives of my grandfather. You died before I was born, alone on a hospital bed, clasping the book of Psalms and singing the Lord's song in a foreign land. On Hester Street, alien with Americans, you sold fruits and vegetables from your pushcart till all your ripeness was gone. They say I resemble you. They say I have your eyes. I see you coming tired into the room and sitting by the lamp to read. You are just behind my head, where I cannot see, humming a melody as haunting and lost as the presence of your God. You call to me from the front row of the synagogue, your suspenders cut into your white Sabbath shirt. You are frailer than I remember, praying there among the fathers. And then, along with the miracle of spring, this is about another kind of miracle. We had our children. We didn't adopt our children, but many friends of mine have. And I've been really sort of blown away by what that's like. Now, having kids the way we did is still pretty overwhelming. I still can't quite believe that I saw two human beings come out of my wife's body. I feel like someday someone will take me at a party, if we ever have parties again where we actually stand and talk to each other, and they'll say, you didn't actually believe that, did you? That comes out of her and then becomes an independent, autonomous human being with its own feelings. How could you be so stupid to believe that? I do believe it, just for the record. I do believe in science, just I want to get that straight right away. But my friends who've adopted, it's even more magical because the child born to strangers somewhere else becomes completely a part of their life. And I was really awestruck by that too. So I wrote a poem about that. It's called Miracle Child, for all my friends who've adopted their children. I thought I knew about miracles when I saw my children born. Who could believe it? A microscopic speck from me swims in darkness to find the place in her that makes a child. Cells joining in a woman's body to make another body inside it. And in a final, almost show-offy flourish, delivers it breathing to the world. But you know a wilder joy, more reckless, less defined, of a child born in a far-off place in Peru, a Chinese province, a Russian orphanage, a small town in Iowa, your hopeful ad clipped and carried back by her sister on a plane, flesh of a stranger's flesh, now one with yours. Oh, the egocentricity of we birth parents, who weep at sonograms rather than phone calls, who think something as invisible as genes can equal the stillness of a child from another world asleep in your arms at dawn. Yes, you know something of destiny, of the random events that overturn our lives, of a light that travels from a distant star to land in a high chair in your kitchen or a car seat behind you, and teach you the terror of parent love with its nightmare risk and its searing, heart-bursting joy, brought by a life that against all odds comes out of nowhere to pierce your mornings with its cry. Okay, this next poem is going to be about another kind of new beginning, which spring symbolizes. It's called Job Interview. Now, I've gone on more job interviews than I would like. And even though I was at Reuters for 25 plus years, I still never got over the horror of job interviews. I also, the one especially after I got fired from a job right near us, we're figuratively in Hoboken at the Hudson Dispatch, which no longer exists, but it was a terrible place. We affectionately called it the Hudson Disgrace. But as usual, when you start out working for these junky places, I had more fun then because I covered everything as a reporter. But when I went on job interviews, I realized looking for a job is the hardest job there is. And I thought about why is it so terrifying? And it's really because basically in every other arena in which you compete, it's good to be a little cool about it. You know, like, oh, I love this apartment, but the price is a little out of the range that I was really thinking of. Or even on a date, like, you know, I really enjoy being with you, but I want to move slowly. That's always good. With a job interview, you have to pretend that your entire life was a rehearsal for the opening they just happened to have. And you have to, if you're like me, I can't fake it, I have to talk myself into it. So suddenly I think that I want to work in Grass Monthly, you know, and I've been fascinated by grass my whole life. And you have to say these, and you convince yourself. And then on top of that, most of the time you don't get the job during the interview. So you're building yourself up, talking yourself into wanting something, and then not getting it. And I guess I still feel the trauma of those kind of interviews. And even though I will never go on one again, although I probably shouldn't jinx it by saying that. So maybe some people might relate to this poem if you've ever been there. Job interview. His desk is nightmare huge, swimming through the blueness of his room. His body shakes in robot jerks. His fingers rattle on your resume. He glances at your life, now in the form of that resume, that yawn of lonely years you stifled shut with outstretched dates. You ooze enthusiasm, alertly cough, explain the reason for insane acts. Your words have no substance. They sputter and gasp toward the ceiling, bubbles from deep-sea divers' masks. He is younger than you, has never been outside of things, never drowned in the order of his days, or yearned for what he already had, or mourned what he had not yet lost. You cry, you scream, you leap on the desk and dance, singing madly to yourself. And when you leave, his door does not close properly. Still sort of gives me the chills reading that. So let's switch to a much happier topic that is also about spring and renewal, mainly love. Watching Vera sleep, there is that look of secret sharing you give only to a mirror. Now you give it to your sleep. You see yourself like a woman glimpsed through a window, soundlessly combing her hair. You move on the other side of mirrors, dance. You are back with your father. You are covered in daylight as a mirror in death. Only a mirror can give you enough. Your body appears uncertain, like a stranger wanting an insane address that doesn't exist. Love exhausts you like a dizzying all-night talk of infinity. You who mutter broken dream words and turn again away. You are the suicide in me, while I am patron to your breath, give you life as I see you breathing. Reading People while my wife has minor surgery, which I wrote while I was reading People magazine while my wife has minor surgery. And I think because it's my video, I'm going to say that this is one of my favorite opening lines that I've written, which is, life is a waiting room with nothing good to read. Okay, I've indulged myself. Now I'll start from the beginning with the poem. Reading People while my wife has minor surgery. Life is a waiting room with nothing good to read. That's clear to me now as I sit on this threadbare couch and think of life and love and the dreams I still dream, and how the coffee here is terrible. Styrofoam cups, the magazine's worse. People, Golf Week, Soap Opera Digest. My wife is unconscious. I imagine her drug-fueled dreams, but I've never been very good at that. Never figured out her dreams in all our years together, never understood them. Around me, the room is alive with language, Spanish and French and another I can't name. Families on edge, nervous, waiting for the doctor to appear. It's like getting on a plane. You're not afraid, but can't help but think, how every breath we take is a game of chance. An argument breaks out in the language I can't name, a language they think in, dream in, love in. I see my life as a language I can't speak, how I've knew through it all as in those dreams where you speak a foreign language and don't know what you're saying, but are understood by all. And here, quite alone, I slide all the way in to perform silent surgery on a troubled soul. Have I ever loved anyone? Loved them well? What if I lose her? What if I'm alone? What is it I search for that's forever out of reach? Okay, admit it at last, you have totally wasted your life. I look up to see the doctor coming out. This time it's for me, and he says it all went very, very well. So I'm going to read another love poem. It's called Finding the Bed in a Marriage. First you hit the chair as you feel through the room, switch strange by darkness. Her sleep sounds direct you, a map detailed by sighing and rustling, the steep relief of even breathing. The room snapped to blackness is a kind of sleep. Emergency lights in the head flip on to let you view the room from within. The hard bedpost, seen with the hands, is misshapen and larger than it was. A bureau sneaks up. A startled shoe makes a stand. Nothing survives its deadly idea. You find the bed and steal beneath the covers, warmed by a woman in a distant sleep, in a distant room you will never see, and you know inside that this is what you stumbled in the dark to find, stumbled for years through empty rooms to stand right here on this very spot in the breathing dark. All that is yours is now in hand, the beating heart at the heart of it all, a comfort of flesh, a confusion of needs, and a contest over space. Sleep nears, you dream of slow clocks ticking. At one time, a poem had to be an iambic pentameter or at least rhyming or in some form or other. And I still play around with that because I think it's a really good discipline, and it's really nice to try to work the emotion into a form, like a fugue on the piano. I love the villanelle because it's so hard to do, and because it's basically 19 lines of iambic pentameter, which is the 5 beats, uh, shall I compare thee to a summer's day, like that. And it also has to have the first line and the third line have to rhyme, not only rhyme, but then have to be repeated, and they have to make sense. And that's really hard. I've written many of them, and I just have to cheat somewhere. Like in a pop song, like say Tangled Up in Blue, Dylan does something like that, but he cheats also because he changes words here and there by the rules of a strict villanelle, which he's not that interested in, but you would have to say the exact words, and they have to make sense. Like I say, do not go gentle into that good night, old men rage at break of day. I mean, you read it and it's really tricky. So I managed to do it here, and I hope it works because it should still say something. I want to love the sadness from your eyes and make you see the beauty in your soul and lead you to a place beyond the lies. I want to show you not a love that dies, but one that sings forever, makes you whole. I want to love the sadness from your eyes. I want to help you understand the whys, why life for you exacts a painful toll and leads you to a place beyond the lies. I know you're bruised from all those broken ties and beaten down from what those bastards stole. I want to love the sadness from your eyes. I want to heal your pain from midnight cries with sex that is a path and not a goal, and lead you to a place beyond the lies. And then I want to make your senses rise and love your body till you lose control. I want to love the sadness from your eyes and lead you to a place beyond the lies. And then another love poem about new beginnings, certainly. This is to my daughter. It's called Birthday Poem. And so, Emily, you are born this year and begin your life without a thought of what is here or there. You are right now all curiosity and tears. Your world has no names, only objects of perplexing variety. tied to a oneness you will not have for long. I welcome you to this glorious finite life with a voice that forms no words. I ease you into this place where every single thing can disappear, where even gravity is worth studying, where sunlight astonishes, snow dazzles, and love is perfect because there is no you. By squeezing you, baby daughter, I feel the intuition of your joy. My love is physical. It thrives on touch. I am starry-eyed, tongue-tied, heartsick when away, a teenager obsessed with his wicked crush. I moon over the way your flesh clung to my shoulder last night as you fell asleep in my arms. I am heroic when I return, a joyous apparition, your eyes dizzy with love. I am lost from all I feel, but know to hold you, baby daughter, I am holding on. By the way, this baby daughter now has children of her own, my 2 grandchildren, so I'm still holding on. Love poem to this moment. I only had you for an instant, but now you're gone forever. I took you everywhere. You were part of me until without warning you vanished for good. Oh, moment that just passed. Didn't you realize we had it all? We were inseparable, like one. You were always there for me, and I couldn't live without you. But now that you're gone, I see that it wasn't anything special about you, but the body of time you gave me to do it as I pleased, no matter how weird or crazy it was. So don't think it's sour grapes when I say that this moment, the one I'm with now, is far more precious and special than you, and will be with me forever. Oh, sweet, precious new moments. I'll take you everywhere. We'll be like one, share the good, the bad, the sorrow, the joy. But where are you? Have I lost you already? But oh, we were so close. I'm going to read another love poem, and it's about that kind of love, that kind of attraction that happens, I guess, largely in your mind, although I suppose it always happens largely in your mind. But those times where you see somebody, on a bus or a train passing and you make eye contact and it just feels like you connect. It's called Poem to the Woman with Spectacular Eyes Who Passed Me in the Park Today. Your eyes were hazel, bright, and tinged with green, and you smiled a dazzling smile as you passed me in the park today. Both of us crazy on this frigid day, running over ice and snow. We bonded over that, didn't we? Just past us, kids were sledding down the hill, high on scary speed and snowy tumbles, dogs and dads bounding about. Did you think of your childhood too, and realize, like me, you were missing days you never had? Tell me now, be honest, did those kids break your heart? And did you realize, like me, that you were missing days that passed you by? Oh, passing woman with your passing beauty, take me to a place where we can let it all go and fly down death-defying hills to land on a layer of cushioning snow and look to find no past behind us. Listen, there was a time years ago when a woman buying flowers glanced at me with such sorrow and longing that I thought of her for days. She's the only perfect woman I have ever known, and I hope to God I never meet her. So finish your run, go home, shower and dress. Is another man there? I guess I'm okay with that. Is he flawed? Does he ignore you at dinner, bring work home, never tell you his feelings? Only I am perfect in your eyes. Only I have never done anything wrong. So return to the mystery of her spectacular eyes that he never tells you are spectacular, to fantasy and dream, knowing there will never be anything as perfect as our love. This will be my last poem. It's the title poem of my poetry book, which was supposed to be out already, but with the pandemic, everything is delayed. And the book is called, will be called, A Note of Consolation for Lucia Joyce. Now, Lucia Joyce was James Joyce's daughter, and it's a fascinating and heartbreaking story. At the end of his life, when Joyce finally had all the fame that he so longed for, he was troubled because his beautiful daughter, Lucia, was schizophrenic and there wasn't much they could do with it then. There isn't much they can do with it now. And she had such a promising life because she was a dancer with Isadora Duncan. She was engaged to Beckett, but that didn't work out. And he just so tried to make her into something. It was inspired by a photo of her in her dance outfit, posing, holding a pose to dance. And there are a lot of Joycean references here. I mean, Joyce is very big to me. If you're sort of a Joyce lover, you might catch some of them. And it also, there's something symbolic here because it's about fathers. So I'm going back to the beginning of fathers. And just like the opening lines of Finnegan's Wake is, river run by something, commodious vivisection, come all the way around. It's a very Joycean concept, the notion of the circularity of it all. So it's called A Note of Consolation for Lucia Joyce. And I have inspired by a photo of James Joyce's daughter Lucia as a young dancer. She was later diagnosed with schizophrenia and spent the rest of her life in institutions. Your eyes are dizzy as you poise for the dance, hands by your side, obsessed with attention, as if waiting for the voice of your father, his maddening tenor, the pitch of epiphany. He wasn't as perfect as you. There was fire in his books, and your mind flared with the clarity of Bloomsday, the visions of the wake. He wasn't as perfect as you. He dissected your instincts with invisible knives. You colored in each cutting edge and whispered to him in sweet Italian at each asylum door, "The Germans are coming. Oh, Father, the Germans are coming." He wasn't as perfect as you. You ran from your demons as he ran from his, with drugs and with dreams and with Daedalus dancing in rooms with barred windows and locks on the doors. Your father has the key, but he won't let you use it. He won't let you in to the stream of consciousness raging within. He's so all or nothing. So yes, I said yes. That you know in your heart means no, I said no. He wasn't as perfect as you. We all go mad when we know our Father. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Universe, for providing us this beautiful spring day, and thank you, Ethan Galvin and the Hoboken Library, for allowing me to share my poems. Speaking of poems, my poetry book, Note of Consolation for Lucia Joyce, should be out in the next month or two. A year ago, I published a novel, One Night with Lilith, about a man who believes his wife is the dangerous but irresistible Lilith of biblical legend. It got swallowed up in the pandemic. I had all these readings planned, but such is life. Before that, my first novel, My Wife's Last Lover, which takes place in Montclair, like the new one, like the One Night with Lilith, and also a collection of short stories somewhere in the middle there, Where Things Are When You Lose Them, which is a question I still haven't answered. Again, thank you for the opportunity to read, and thank you, everybody, for listening.